I just wanted to record a quick video in researching the December episode of Demon Toast. I've read these two books so far, Krampus the Yule Lord by Brom, and this book, Krampus and the Old Dark Christmas by Ridenour. Probably said that wrong, but hey, his book's in the video. So anyway, these are books about the Christmas devil. You may have heard of him, Krampus. He comes from, Austria, Germany, places like that. And we'll be discussing him on Demon Toast, but these books are really, really good on their own. Krampus the Yule Lord is a book I consider to be better than something like American Gods. It's existential, but less up its own ass, and it essentially casts Krampus as the grandson of the Norse god Loki, who, you might have heard of him. I mean, that's my name. But he's the Norse god Loki, who was imprisoned by the gods for killing Balder, exposing their faults. He did a lot of bad things, or things that they considered bad anyway. But he's Loki's grandson, and did I say grandfather? It's kind of early, and I'm a little out of it. But regardless, in this book, Krampus is Loki's grandson. And Santa Claus, the book, I thought it was going to be Odin, was truly Santa Claus, running around in the red suit. But it's actually Balder. And the writer chose Balder because, excuse me, Balder is a god who, the Yule was essentially, the Yuletide was commemorating a lot of things, but Balder was kind of a central figure. The Yule log that we burn today was Balder's log. Balder died, and it was believed he would return after the world had ended to sort of demonstrate that all things die and return, just like the earth herself is renewed after winter. The trees all die, but then spring follows, right? The world was cyclic to the ancient Norse. So Santa Claus being Balder, sort of the Old Norse pantheon dying off, and Balder being the sole representative, sort of bringing cheer and goodwill to people when the world is coldest and darkest. Kind of a good idea. I'm someone who likes Santa Claus, by the way. I mean, despite never having been a Christian, despite kind of hating Christmas in general, I like Santa Claus. I like the idea of Santa Claus. So this book does a pretty good job with Santa Claus and Krampus. I've imbibed a fair amount of Krampus material because we're going to be analyzing him in December on the podcast, but this book was really enjoyable in a lot of ways. There's certain things about American Gods. I'm comparing it to American Gods just because they're similar. They deal with belief, they deal with faith, and they deal with, how we interact with the things that we believe in, right? I'm someone who thinks that all art is a form of belief, when I'm writing my poetry, or my short stories, or my Demonland novels, I'm creating a mythology of my own. I'm expressing essential truths about myself. When you read The Lord of the Rings, or anything really, there are aspects of it that are going to shout out to you, And, I believe that spirituality is kind of democratized with the advent of, people writing their own stories, us being able to publish and reach out and tell stories to each other. But needless to say, whereas, something like American Gods kind of, it's a little wishy-washy, it makes a big deal about, all its characters only existing because people believe in them, yet George Washington, Jesus, I don't know, the idea of freedom, none of these make an appearance in American Gods because, Neil Gaiman's really just writing about himself, right? Say what you will about that. But Krampus is much more focused on its plot, its characters, and the thing that really makes the book thrum to me are the wonderful drawings by the writer / artist, Brom. He drew the cover, I believe. He drew all the pictures within. Let me see if I can find one before I move into my second book I want to talk about. I really recommend this. I think it's quite good. There are parts that are better than others, but overall, it's a really great. When Krampus starts doing his thing, going house to house. There's a part where they run into some meth heads. Here's the lady who tries to shoot at them. I really should just edit the image in, but this is kind of a guerrilla video. I'm just shooting it before my day starts, really, because I really wanted to talk about it. Yeah. Here's Santa Claus running from Krampus. Great book. Great book. In fact, I'm going to read a quick excerpt. I'll probably edit out this bit where I'm digging through the book, but this is my favorite part. I believe it's page 263. Krampus didn't laugh or smile. His gaze returned to the flame. I am fearful most men of this age are like you. They have forgotten what it is to huddle in a hut with the beasts and demons howling outside their door. They no longer have want of a great and terrible spirit to protect them. They have lost their fear of the wild, and with it, their need to believe. And I cannot blame them, for they now have the power to chase away the shadows with a mere flick of a switch. So I must ask myself, what role can I play in a world where men worship the moving picture box, where they make and consume potions that eat away their own brains, where they ravage and pillage entire mountains, kill the very earth itself? Mankind has lost its connection to the land, to the earth, to the beasts and spirits. They gather their food not from the forests and fields, but from plastic bins and ice boxes. Their lives are no longer tied to the cycles of the seasons and the harvest. No longer do they need the Yule Lord to chase away the winter darkness and usher in the light of spring. Man has only himself to fear now. He has become his own worst devil. Krampus is more than just the spirit of the old world, the old Yuletide. He's appealing to the inherent primal quality of the way we act, So that being the case, Krampus the Yule Lord, check it out, or don't. I think you should, though. Secondly, the Krampus and the Old Dark Christmas, Roots and Rebirth of the Folkloric Devil. This is a really good book. This has lots of pictures of people in Austria, this place called Bad Gates, I believe it's called. It doesn't matter. What matters is that, these people, every year, they dress up, Bad Gastein. They dress up like the Krampus or this creature called the Perchta. She's a witch. And they go house to house and they whip people. Sometimes there's a St. Nicholas with them. But as you can see, Krampus is never far behind. And interestingly enough, Krampus, and his various ancestors, they seem to be the real origin of Santa Claus himself. There's this idea that Santa Claus kind of evolved from, St. Nicholas, and only St. Nicholas, and was brought to America by people from Amsterdam, when my research indicates that the people who came to America from Amsterdam were largely not Catholic, which means no saints, which means no St. Nicholas. So that's kind of fun, right? It was the Germans who brought Black Peter, which I'll save that for the podcast. But I really do recommend this book. If you're wondering what the Krampus, you saw that Krampus movie from 2015, which I like. I'm a fan. The podcast, we're not just going to talk about the history. We're going to be talking about what Krampus means to us, right? So that means looking at a lot of pop culture. That means looking at a lot of analysis of pop culture and kind of figuring out why we love the Krampus. So that's what I got for you. 2 books, 2 pretty cool books. There's a third I'm reading, but a little iffy on it. Regardless, love your demons, write the poems, stay spooky. Ave Satanis, and Happy Yuletide, I guess? It's still November. But, whatever. Halloween, we barely knew ye, right? Oh well.